because people are just not going to use it much. Or if they are using it in the sort of lever always gives food mode, then it's a mechanical thing. They're not even really interacting with it. There's no passion for it. Someone else could provide a similar service and they'd quite happily roam off onto that similar service. So what you need is to create addiction, a gambling addiction. You want it so that you pull this lever and sometimes it gives you food randomly. Yeah? So in that scenario, you might pull it the first time and get food and eat it. Pull it the second time, nothing. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth time, nothing. It's going to mean that every time you go to that machine, you're going to pull that lever over and over and over again. It might give you a bit of food, but you're going to keep pulling it again to get more food because you don't know when the next time it's going to give out food is going to be. It's an addiction. It's that, you know, it's like betting. That's why gamblers, you know, go on slot machines and stuff. And they fail. Oh, I've hit the jackpot. Fail. Oh, I've hit the jackpot. Completely ignoring the fact that they're putting more money in than they're getting out. And it's the same sort of thing with Facebook likes, yeah? You could sort of like, or comments or anything that you do with Facebook, you know, you might hit like on something, and because of loads of people hitting likes, you get this Kickstarter campaign shown to loads of people who've got enough money to actually fund it, and it does actually make something happen in the real world. But those are so few and far between. You know, how many of your likes actually have any impact in the real world at all? And it's basically tends towards 0% of those. And this is the problem with Zeitgeist. I think it's been really effective at showing people who are coming out of the system under their own steam, predominantly. People who've already, you know, it's like Neo in the Matrix, where, you know, Splinter in his mind, he knew something was wrong. He's been searching for the Matrix, but the Zeitgeist movement's a bit like Morpheus, you know, giving him the red pill. You know, showing him, yes, you're not the only one that thinks this. Here, let me spell it out for you so you can see what these problems are more clearly. Let me show you the real world. And I think the Zeitgeist movement's been really good at doing that. It's been really good at showing, here's what the future could look like with the Venus Project. But you've got this big void in the middle. And that big void in the middle is where the Zeitgeist movement should be saying, get off your fat arse, get out there into the real world and start making shit happen. And I'm not talking about getting more people into the movement. I'm talking about set up a community farm, set up a tool library, set up a make space. Anything. Just get shit done that takes us a step closer to a resource-based economy. The Zeitgeist movement doesn't make people do that. Instead, it just leaves this big void between, we've explained how shit the current world is, we've explained how awesome an RBE could be, and everything in between that, the transition stuff, is void. So you get all these people on Facebook groups bitching about the old world, drooling over the possible future world, and that's it. They actually do sweet fuck all to actually make a difference. You know, don't get me wrong, you know, there is an element that talking about these things is still very beneficial for people who are coming out of the system. You know, it's good to bring people out of the system and have them find a community there that understands what the problems are of the system they've just come out of, so you can explain to them, you know, help them get their heads around it and see the system from the outside and really understand just how fucked up it is. Then go on to say, you know, this is what a brighter future would look like, so that they can actually come out of the system with some confidence that actually, you know, the system isn't the be-all and end-all. And, you know, they've got this resource-based economy thing that we should head towards. And that's really useful for making them, it's like a a one-way path then. It makes it so, once you've seen something like a resource-based economy, you cannot really go back into the system because it's just so blatantly wrong once you've seen a resource-based economy. But there's that big void. There's nothing at all. It's completely devoid of transition stuff. Now, I know that the Zeitgeist Movement and the Venus Project and a bunch of other organisations and groups and movements have all put out stuff about transition. But it's the biggest failing is the resource-based economy is like this ivory tower built in the future. You know, you can sort of see it in your mind, and all these bloody pictures of circular cities that everyone keeps sharing. For fuck's sake, really. You know, you show that circular city to most people and they'd be like, I don't want to live in sterile Star Trek land. It doesn't matter how beneficial it might be to actually live there. People who live in today's world looking at it are just like, no, I don't want to live. That looks like they're going to control every aspect of my life. I don't want to spend all day, every day learning science, blah, blah, blah. You know, if they were in that, in a resource-based economy, if you could teleport them forward in time, they'd probably have a very different view. Well, that's no fucking use today, is it? Because we're not in a resource-based economy. So you've got to find ways of speaking to people in today's language. You've got to find ways of motivating people to get stuff done in today's language. And today's language is money. And there's no money for setting up a resource-based economy in today's society because it goes against the grain of what society is. So for me, both Zeitgeist Movement and the Venus Project, in the context of getting shit done, in terms of transitioning towards a resource-based economy, TZM, TVP are both unmitigated failures. They have failed to have any real effect in the real world. And as long as people keep sitting around on Facebook, pulling that lever, the like lever, maybe next time I'll change something in the real world by clicking like. Ding, 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 ding. Maybe if I keep ranting about the old world, something will happen. Maybe if I keep showing off, oh, look at all this cool 3D printer technology, maybe something will happen. No, nothing's going to happen. 5 years on, we're pretty much where we were 5 years ago. There's a lot more people who are awake. No one's truly ever awake fully. It's a process. We should say we are awakening. You know, every day I'm more awake than I was the day before. So I'm constantly learning new stuff. But even that, it doesn't matter how awake we are, until we actually get out there and get shit done in the real world, nothing's going to change. You can talk about it all you want. Nothing at all will change unless you get off your fat ass, throw that like button, turn off that like button machine, get out there and get something done. There's some examples if you're struggling for what could be done. Learn how to grow food in your kitchen. You can grow food from scraps, like if you've got leafy vegetables, the roots that you normally throw in the bin, stick them in a glass of water, they'll regrow into a new vegetable. Or put them in some soil. Soil's a bit harder because you can get sort of fungal infections and stuff, but in a glass of water, change the glass of water at least once a week to keep it clean. You'll grow a new lettuce or a new leek or a new onion and so on. Set up a tool library. If you like DIY and stuff like that, you'll have some tools around. Drop leaflets. You don't have to set up it in a building. Do it from home at the weekends. Drop some leaflets through your neighbours' letterboxes on your street saying, I've got these tools. I'm setting up a tool library. If you want to borrow one for free, come round and let me know. And then they can come round, and while they're around to borrow a tool, you can explain to them, it's like, because you borrowed this rather than buying a new tool, less resources are being wasted. which means that there'll be less tools to recycle or landfill in 10 years or something like that. You could start explaining to them how a resource-based economy works. The other great thing with the tool library is, depending on what tools people are borrowing, you can work out what kind of things they're interested in doing, and whether it's just sort of like a passing interest or an ongoing interest. So if someone keeps coming round to borrow a strimmer or a shovel or a rake, you know that pretty likely they've got a keen interest in gardening. So if you know where all the people with a keen interest in gardening are in your neighbourhood, in your community, you can then find someone, another Zeitgeister or someone from Venus Projects or whatever, who wants to set up a community farm. And you can say then to all the people that you know that are borrowing your gardening tools, hey, we're setting up a community farm. They might only help out during the initial stages to get it set up, and then go back to the previous life of, just doing odd bits of gardening in the back garden. But some of them will stay on and become passionate about that community farm. And once you've got a community farm running, well, now you're providing free food to everyone in the community. Real food. Because a community farm can't afford fertilisers, or pesticides, or herbicides, or any of the other crap that we pump into the ground and onto food. So it'll have to grow food more naturally. The people there will have to learn permaculture. Permaculture is all about working with nature, not against it. Go learn that. If you go, this course is free online. Go take one. So there's things that you can do in the real world with very little effort. There's ways that you can build up physical, real, face-to-face communities where you live in a sort of under-the-radar kind of way, rather than going in and saying, resource-based economy, the existing system's shit, we need 3D, these circular cities need to be built. The people on the street don't give a shit about any of that. But if you're going to them and going, hey, here's free food from the local farm, or the guerrilla gardening we've been doing in the area, here's free tools that you can borrow whenever you want, here's a 3D printer, we've set up a little 3D printing area at the youth club or the community centre where you can come in and print stuff out. All these little things to talk to people out there. Get out there and do it yourself, first and foremost, but talk to people in terms of things that make sense to them today. Show them, actually have a beneficial impact on people's lives. If you have a beneficial impact on people's lives, they're going to listen to what you say. They're going to get involved. They'll pay it forward and they'll start doing cool things and benefiting other people's lives in the community. You see it everywhere where people have gone out and actually done shit. It grows, it spreads. But you've got to have something that is a tangible benefit to people's lives. If you don't, you're just talking bollocks. You're not getting anything done. So that's my message, I guess, is that you've got this huge gaping hole in the middle of realising the current system's a crock of shit and realising that a resource-based economy is awesome. There's this big gap in the middle for actually going from A to B. And you can't just go in one big leap. You've got to get out there and just start doing little things. The tool library, you can scale it up. There's lots of tool libraries in and around Canada and America. Go Google for them. They've got Google groups where you can actually talk to people who run them. The same with community farms and things like that, and guerrilla gardening. Go look for transition networks, intentional communities, hybrid RBE, things like this. There are people out there already doing stuff in the real world. Go and spend time with them. Spend less time on Facebook. Stop clicking that like lever. Get out and meet real people that are actually doing real stuff. That is how we're going to make a difference. If you're just planning to stay on Facebook, sure, we need a few people there to sort of help people out of the old world and show them the direction to the new world. But ultimately, we need a shitload more people on the ground, making farms, making tool libraries, making make spaces and hack spaces and all sorts of other stuff, setting up energy co-ops. your local pub car park, turn it into a bloody solar panel